With NetBird 0.65, we're introducing our very own built-in reverse proxy, allowing you to expose your internal services to the public internet. This will automatically handle TLS certifications, absolutely no VPN required to connect to the services, and better yet, we have authentication baked right on in. So not only can you expose it normally like you would with any other reverse proxy, but you can add an additional layer of authentication with either a password, PIN, or single sign-on. And I do have to emphasize, this is a pretty big deal. This is one of the biggest changes to the platform that we've ever made. And for me personally, at least in my home lab environment, I've completely ditched Nginx Proxy Manager and Cloudflare tunnels using this new feature. And I know many of you are using services like Pangolin or Cloudflare tunnels in conjunction with NetBird, but after today, that's not really needed. And also something that's coming up that's really cool, it's not here yet, but very soon, is the ability to expose services with a single command, which is just a quick way for developers to actually expose services. This is similar to something like ngrok, which has a bidirectional keep alive stream and will auto remove the service when the CLI disconnects or when the peer becomes unavailable. Do make sure you star our GitHub repository so you do not miss that update. All of this is super easy to set up, so what we're going to do is dive on and show you some of the features, the functionality, and how easy it is to get all this going. Now, first things first, there are a couple things I need to touch on real fast. One, if you've already used our quick start script to get all this set up, we previously used Caddy. We've went ahead and switched that to traffic, but do not worry, we do have a migration guide right here under enable reverse proxy. So this will go over why traffic is going to be required for this functionality and how to go ahead and switch over from whatever you happen to be using. Additionally, we did make changes to that quick start script. So if we go on over here, scroll down, you could see now, of course, traffic is going to be the default recommended, but we're going to have the question asking you if you'd like to enable this new proxy service. You go ahead and hit Y for yes, and then you're going to want to go ahead and give a proxy domain. Now, it's important here to note, this cannot be the same subdomain as your NetBird management domain. For example, if your NetBird management is under netbird.example.com, you should use something like proxy.example.com for your proxy address. Doing proxy.netbird.example.com will cause conflicts with TLS certificates. And then when you have all that set up, of course, we have our A record for our main management URL, but there are two additional ones we're going to want to add, both of them CNAMEs, pointing to the management domain name with the name of proxy or whatever you want it to be, and then an additional one, basically the same setup, but instead a wildcard so we can add all those services into NetBird. So now here I went ahead and signed into a self-hosted instance that I already have. The cloud version of this is not yet available, but it will be coming soon. Do follow us on Slack and socials to get updated when that is ready and available. But right here, you are going to notice reverse proxy beta. If I go ahead and jump on into that. Again, this is my personal self-hosted instance, so I have some of my own domains in here. And that's one thing you may notice, custom domains. So if I actually skip over to custom domains, you can add more domains to this. So you could really use this as your main reverse proxy manager if you would like to. And adding these custom domains is as simple as adding those CNAME records. Now, one thing you also may notice here is cluster. All these are currently on the same cluster because I only have one instance of the NetBird proxy container up and running. What is beautiful about this, and something that we're going to cover in a future video, a more in-depth guide on setting this up, is the fact that we have high availability for these reverse proxies, meaning you could spread out the NetBird proxy container across multiple servers, and if one of them goes down, restarts, or anything like that, if you do have high availability enabled, your services will stay accessible. And now I want to show you how real quick and easy this is to set up. If I just go ahead and click on Add Service, you can see here I could select between one of my custom domains or the cluster domain. If I pick one of my custom ones here, what I can do is add the name here. Now on my local home network here, I have a Grafana instance. So let's go ahead, type in Grafana, and then from there we're going to want to add a target. Now here you could select a peer directly. So if you have the NetBird peer on the same machine that your service is running on, you could do that. But for this, I don't have NetBird installed on the exact machine that this service is running on. Thankfully, this works perfectly fine with network resources. You can see I have two here. I have our main subnet and my unraid machine at a specific IP address. If I just go main subnet here, this is with the IP address of 101 at the port 3001. Easy as that. Add the target. There we go. Now, if I continue, we can enable some authentication. So we have single sign-on, password, PIN code. Now, password and PIN code are simple enough. It just prompts you to enter that password or PIN before allowing you to access the actual service behind the proxy. What I want to talk about real quick is SSO, or single sign-on. If we click add there, what it's going to do is give us a distribution group. So within your groups in your NetBird management, set up what user groups are going to be allowed to access this resource. Now, in this instance, I really only have one, which is the admin users. But here, this is where you could add your development team, your sales team, and so forth. So let's go ahead and add that group. So now single sign-on is enabled. If I go continue, we do have some additional settings if you need these for the particular service that you are running. But we can go add service, and just like that, we have Grafana right here. So if I navigate to this instance of Grafana, we're going to see authentication required, sign on with single sign on. And then here, we're going to type in our email and password. And of course, if we've had any of our other identity providers set up, those would appear here as well. So if I type in my login information, go to sign in, then you are going to see we have Grafana here. And let's actually edit this because I want to show you me getting rejected. So if I click configure here under authentication, I edit this, and let's get rid of this admin group. Let's add something else, a group that I'm not actually a part of. Let's just say DevOps, and then we'll save that. Save the changes, and then going into a different web browser here, if we input that URL and then we try to sign on with single sign on here, click sign in, you can see we have access denied, and that is because I am not part of that group that has access to this service. Now, something else that's kind of cool is our status page. So if I actually configure this again really fast, and let's point it to a port that I know isn't going to work. So 302. So technically the service is now down. If I travel to it, you can see we have service unavailable. So we have our proxy is connected fine, but our destination is unreachable. Just some nice helpful pages to let you know what's actually going on. And of course, this is accessible from anywhere that I'd have an internet connection. If I go over here, something else that's pretty cool too is if we go to add target here, if I just go ahead and select like a random resource, I'll be able to type in a custom location. So something like API, I could point it to a specific protocol host, and it does support custom locations, so you can configure all that if need be. And really the awesome thing about self-hosting this versus using something like Cloudflare tunnels is you can use it for services that you can't with Cloudflare, such as media streaming, Nextcloud, because they do have data limits on their free plans. So of course you can host this locally. You will have to open up some ports, of course, to get this to work. But what I like to do is throw it up on a VPS with like a high bandwidth limit, and then I can handle all my uploads, my streaming, and everything through that VPS. So doing it that way, I'm hiding my actual IP address. The actual connections to the services are encrypted with WireGuard, and I can add additional authentication on services that are really important, such as something like Home Assistant. So if you'd like to learn more about this, I will have links to our documentation down below, a Knowledge Hub link, and of course a link to the GitHub release notes. With all that, I do hope you have an absolutely beautiful day, and goodbye.